Hi there, Karen Polarity from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to be talking about the gate 25, which is usually called the love of spirit. And I apologize, it's a day or two late. So here we go. So we've got the sun in gate 25, which, as I said, is called the love of spirit. It started late on March 18th, and which was Friday, and goes until March 24th. So I apologize that I am a little late here with this, but the Earth is in gate 46, which is called the love of the flesh. And so there are two of the love gates that come off the G center. So the 25 is here. It would go over to the will center, and then the 46 is here, which is also called perseverance and determination, and that would connect down to the sacral with the gate 29. But this week we've got four centers defined all week, because we've got that 2343 in the nodes, the north and south nodes, which will be there till July, and then we've got the 19 still in both Mars and Venus, and that connects up to the 49, which is in Saturn. And so we have the solar plexus and the root defined. So I don't know about you, but already I'm feeling a little more emotional this week and a little more grounded, but also if you usually have the open root, which is about 1/3 of the population, you might feel a little less rushed. You might feel like you don't have to quite hurry as much. You won't feel the pressure, which is really, it's actually a nice relief not to feel that pressure if that occurs for you. So that's where we are this week. 4 centers defined for everybody on the planet. So as I said, the sun is in gate 25. It's called the love of spirit. It's also called in the I Ching the spirit of the self, or innocence. And it's the perfection of action through uncontrived and spontaneous nature. So it really has an innocence about it. It really has kind of a trusting nature, almost like an innocent, right? Like a child, or like a, somebody who hasn't been through the trenches, right? Somebody who's lived some life, but hasn't been hurt all that much, which is what it seems like, but it's not the truth, right? The truth is that these people have been through a lot, and they're not, they might act innocent, but they're not, it doesn't mean that they haven't suffered. The incarnation crosses this week. We got the crosses of the vessel of love, which happens to be my cross. It's my birthday was the other day, innocence and healing. And then we've got the gate 46, which is the love of the flesh. This is also called pushing upward, or the determination of the self. So it is about perseverance and determination, and in getting things done, basically. So they say the good fortune that may be perceived as the result of serendipity, but derives from effort and dedication. So the way I describe this one, it's like, it is called the love of the flesh too, which is, it's like, it really enjoys being in our physicality. It's an energy that loves the physical, and so it's not necessarily in a sexual way, but it can be. Mostly, it's usually in a very a sports way, or action oriented, or getting things done. Right? It's that kind of energy. And what they say here is that this good fortune may be perceived as the result of serendipity. So I describe it as, the duck gliding across the lake, right, is going, and it looks so smooth and very serene and graceful, right? But underneath, its little legs are going, and it's just like paddling along at, a furious rate, just to be able to maintain that graceful look. So that's what this gate is basically all about. Always, doing and getting stuff done, but making it look easy. But usually it's actually a lot more work and, as they say, effort and dedication behind it. In the gene key, seriousness is the shadow here. Delight is the gift, and ecstasy is the CD. And so in the gene keys, we've got Richard says in this graphic, allowing is the very first breath of awareness. And the shadow for the 25 is constriction. The gift is acceptance, which is pictured here. And then the CD is universal love. And so what this gate is about is as I said, the love of spirit, it's really, as Richard calls it, really one of the basic gene keys in the entire I Ching, because what we've got here is the basis for love. We call it love of the spirit, but it's just really all about love. And the love is also, so when you don't have the love, you have constriction, right? It's literally the absence of love. You have constriction, because the constriction is there as a result of fear, right? If you don't have love, then the opposite basically is fear, and the fear of anything, really. It's the fear of, not having enough food or water, or at the individual level, it's literally constricting your breathing, right? Where you're breathing very shallowly. I don't know, if you've ever experienced this, but when you breathe with a shallow breath, it's very, it feels constricted, right? It feels as if you're, like you can't catch your breath most of the time. Or sometimes even you forget to breathe, right? I mean, sometimes I find myself holding my breath, right? When things are particularly tense or upsetting or, confrontational, right? But when we breathe, and when we can breathe deeply, we can let go of that. The breath really is at the crux of it for individuals. When you're not trusting, when you're not feeling loved, when you aren't giving love, any of that can lead to constriction, and basically it's just all about fear. When you on a community level, or broader level, the constriction shows up as laws and putting fences around things, and kind of making sure you've got yours, right? It's not open and accepting. It's more hoarding, constriction, bringing things into you, as opposed to sharing and allowing for the community to both have things and to grow and to do all that. The gift is acceptance. And by acceptance here, he means basically moving into love, right? Giving up the fear and the constriction, and basically trusting that you'll be taken care of, trusting that the world will unfold as you'd like it to, trusting that there is a force, whether you believe it's God or the universe or Allah or whatever you believe in, that there's some energy out there, some entity who is watching over us, right? And who we can trust, or how in a way we can trust things to happen on our behalf as opposed to against us. And so the acceptance is really a very, as Richard says, a very soft approach to life, right? If we can accept things, if we can breathe into it, basically, if you are in a confrontational situation or something is upsetting, or you're watching the news, for example, and you can breathe and take that deep breath and feel as if you're being taken care of, and everything will be okay, it feels like acceptance. That's what this gift is. And then the CD is universal love, where it's not just, acceptance in our own little world, but for everybody, and really feeling that love. So he says to be alive in a physical body can be experienced as the ultimate constriction, especially if your reality is rooted in fear. So again, it's that love versus fear dichotomy, I guess, or balancing act. So Richard also says you have to relax these layers deep inside you so that you can feel the flow of love once more moving within your being. In other words, there's lots of layers there, right? There's lots of layers of, the constriction leads to fear leads to pain leads to suffering, and that can go on and be basically in a loop for a long, long time. And so if you can move to basically the acceptance and that softer way of being, that softer way of, it's just like everything's okay. Everyone's fine. Everyone, has their opinion. They can have their opinion. My life is not about your life. My life is mine to be lived. My life is mine to find my purpose and do what I'm here to do, and do it in a way that doesn't hurt anyone else, right? And so that's the acceptance that we can have. And I'm not going to say it happens all the time. It certainly doesn't. But the acceptance that we can practice will lead to universal love, right? Once you're accepting and once you're acknowledging that and there are lots of layers. So the more we are accepting, the more deeply we'll be breathing, and the more we'll be able to accept all the layers of us, right? So we'll accept the shadow. Once you accept the shadow, it's a lot easier to move through it, right? It's a lot easier to move to the other side. The acceptance first comes with us, right? Comes with accepting ourselves and loving ourselves and trusting ourselves. And once we can do that, then we can accept and trust and love other people. So it's all about awareness. It's about seeing ourselves for really who we are, right? And so that's something that human design helps with, obviously. And once you can see yourself for who you really are and see the shadow side as well, accept the shadow side and live with it, embrace it, because it's not going anywhere, right? And accept it and embrace it and then move on, because then you'll be able to accept all of you. And once you accept all of you, it's a lot easier to accept other people as well. So we've got a number of birthdays this time of year. Of course, this is springtime, right? Happy spring. And as I said, it's the cross of the vessel of love, the cross of innocence, and the cross of healing. We've got Edgar Cayce, Spike Lee, William Shatner, a lot of personalities, a lot of people we know. And I'll just mention Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, also had a birthday on the 20th. And I love what he used to end his shows with. I just read this quote recently. So, and I wasn't a big Mr. Rogers fan, but I saw this quote recently, and he said, and remember, I like you just for being you, which is great, right? That's human design in a nutshell. I accept you for being you. I accept me for being me. And then the world's probably a better place as a result of it when you can just be you. And apparently Mr. Rogers has changed a lot of lives because of that line at the end of his shows each day. So this week in history, March 19th to the 24th. In 1918, that was the first time that Congress authorized daylight savings time. It did go back and forth over the years, but apparently it passed in Congress to be permanent last week. In 1965, President Lyndon Johnson ordered 4,000 troops to protect the Montgomery civil rights marchers. In 1933, within 1 month of taking office, President Roosevelt set about basically pulling America out of the depths of the worst depression in history. He did a number of things, including temporarily closing the nation's banks and passing emergency legislation to stabilize the financial institutions. Ohio State's basketball coach in 1939 created a single elimination basketball tournament between 8 schools. And now it's become, the 64 college teams that compete in what's referred to as March Madness. So we're right in the middle of that, getting close to they're just about to have the Sweet 16, I guess. In 1972, the US Senate passed the Equal Rights Amendment. And that amendment failed to achieve ratification. And to this day, it still has not been ratified. So we're all still waiting on that. So in 2010, that's a typo there. Sorry about that. The House passed the healthcare reform bill and it was signed into law by President Obama. And that's known as Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. So that's 12 years old already. Amazing. And in 1989, the Exxon Valdez tanker had its spill in Alaska's Prince William Sound. And in 1958, Elvis Presley traded in his guitar for a rifle and army fatigues and went to and joined the army for a few years before coming back to his singing career. So, we're still in the midst of the war between Ukraine and Russia, and many people are feeling the heaviness, right? The sadness. And I think I mentioned this last week, but again, I'll just encourage you, because you are probably a light worker here to make a difference, to hold the light, be the light, anchor the light. And I heard from someone this week that we can anchor the light for other countries as well. We can, kind of pick a place and anchor your light so that it's spread around. So have a wonderful week, and I will see you pretty soon, since I'm pretty late with this. And again, I apologize. Had a very busy week, birthday weekend, and just didn't get it in. So the good news is that we're in this week of love of the spirit and love of hopefully each other. And I'm hoping that there'll be some negotiations or talks that lead to at least a ceasefire of some sort, which would be really nice. So have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Take care.